could please give Maraion a round of applause as she gives her presentation, Heal, a survivor's story.
Good afternoon. I know y'all all tired and sleepy, but I'm getting ready to wake you up. I'm getting ready to rock you up for First of all, I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank you for staying this long in the conference and allowing me to share my journey with you guys. I want to say thank you to Jennifer for believing in me and allowing me to speak again this year at the Unstoppable Youth. I met Jennifer through my sister friend Robin, and it was amazing. When I first met her, she was writing her book, and we talked about me surviving domestic violence. And Robin, who is an amazing woman, was part of my team at Mama's house, and we'll talk a little more about that. So I just want to take today and share my journey about feel, deal, and heal. And it's in that order. I want to thank Eric because I got a little I got emotional. It was a trigger for me because all I ever wanted my kid's father to do is say, "I'm sorry," and take ownership of what he did to me and his children with the domestic violence. As Jennifer said, I grew up in Kansas City. And can y'all believe that we had reality TV in the 1960s? I'm gonna get to my notes so I can share this with you because being a little emotional, I normally don't speak from notes, but. So my reality TV was Leave It to Beaver. And it was in black and white. In the 1970s, I was a teenager, and I grew up in a single-parent home. And I watched Leave It to Beaver because that's what I thought a family looked like. Ward Cleaver was a hard-working daddy, went to work every day. June Cleaver was a fabulous wife that was beautiful when her husband came home from work. And they had 2 children, Wally Cleaver and Beaver Cleaver. So I was going to be the first black June Cleaver. I was going to be fabulous. I'm going to marry the man of my dreams, and we're going to live in the white picket fence on the hill and live happily ever after. Well, as today, when they say reality TV, it was not a reality. It started off, we were friends and we had fun, and when it was good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was bad. My name is Maraion, but after so many years of being called something else, I couldn't tell you what my name was. But it was some name other than Child of God. I moved to Reno, Nevada. I was married in 1980. 1981, my first child, born with a hole in her heart, having open heart surgery at 7 months old. Second child, 1982. In 1983, I moved to Reno, Nevada. Isolation. I didn't have nobody there, didn't know nobody there. And my husband, in Nevada, prostitution is legal. So he was the driver to drive all the pimps to the Kit Kat Ranch. He was Douglas Transportation Service, is what I call it. I can remember one day he was out drinking, got paid on Friday, didn't come home till Sunday. Me and the kids are laying in, y'all remember the water beds back in the day? We laying in the water bed, sleeping. I'm depressed, crying all the time, missing my family. He turns on the light. And what do when the light comes on? You raise up. Bam. Fist in my eye. My eyes black. He's accusing me of sleeping with his friends. The same friends that he was sent to the house while he was out doing his thing to take me and our children to the park to feed the ducks. That was our thing, to go feed the ducks because I was in the house all day with them. So needless to say, that went on for about 6 months. And I prayed to God just to show me a way out. So I devised an escape plan and told her we were gonna go back to Kansas City and that my mom was gonna keep the kids. That was my way out. About 100 miles outside of Kansas City, he realized I wasn't coming back. So I was bad since then. He said, nah, I ain't coming back. The way you treated me, you crazy. He told me I wouldn't hit you if you didn't act like a man and try to fight me back. I said, well, my daddy didn't beat me and neither of you. So I couldn't tell nobody about it because all I heard growing up is, you made your bed, you lie in it. Wrong. You don't lie in nothing. If you gotta get out on the other side, you get up and you get out on the other side. A piece of man is better than no man at all. What the heck is a piece of man? You don't need a man. You can do it. Oh, mama, I want a man. Nah, whatever you need, you can do it. You and your kids, you can do it. So, I suppressed everything. Got to Kansas City, started building my life, me and my children, raising my children, just suppressed it. Just kept going. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and it's after my mother had passed. It was my second trip to Phoenix, and I decided I would work. So I went to worked in corporate America for about 20 years. I was working at American Express, and one day I was driving home and I was like, Lord, I'm so sick of this job. I'm so sick of these people. I know there's something I need to be doing. Got home, Mary J. Blige was on the Oprah show. She's talking about her life. And I'm crying to go crocodile tears. One thing you guys need to know, I'm proud of you. Big old crocodile tears, and at that moment, God spoke to me and said, you need to go into Mama's house. I was like, yeah. I was gonna open up this home for pregnant women and young mothers, and I was gonna be grandma to all the babies, and this life is gonna be good. And God said, that's not what you're gonna do. You remember all those years you was crying out to me and saying, Lord, why me? Lord, why me? He said, I was preparing you for such a time as this. So I was to open up a home for women who were transitioning out of domestic violence. This wasn't going to be no bed and breakfast. This was going to be a facility where women got the tools that they needed to move beyond the pain. To no longer be a survivor, but to be a thriver. So I quit my job. Talk about stepping out on faith. I leaped out on faith. Mama's house, MOMA, my own movement toward achievement. Because I worked in corporate America for over 30 years, I am an acronym student. Throughout my discussion with you guys, you'll see that. My mother would always tell me, Maraion, I know you're going to do so with your life, and that's why I'm so hard on you. And I looked at her like, well, be hard on them other ones. You know, why me? Why not me? She was preparing me for the journey and the assignments that God had given me. So I quit my job, I'm going to open Mama's house. I'm full of energy and I'm going to get it done. Not like them people that just do it. I'm going to get it done. And everybody's like, well, I'm like, how do you do this and who do I talk to? And I was like literally wandering around in the desert. After 2 years, we finally opened the doors. Our program was called MOMA. Aspirations, mentoring, outreach, and motivation. That's what our program consisted of. What does a woman aspire to be? So we helped her with that. We gave her a mentor. We provided her with someone to help lead, guide, and direct her. We taught her outreach, because as Mama's House received, Mama's House must give. And the last part of it is motivation. I can motivate you, I can inspire you. God has to be your motivator, and you gotta want it. And you gotta want it for yourself more than what I want it for you. So that was my way of dealing with what I had gone through in domestic violence. I just kept saying to myself, Lord, I'm trying to help these women, but they act like they don't want it. Then the Phoenix Vice Squad approached me and talked to me about sex trafficking. I'm like, Lord, you got jokes on. He said, Maraion, pain is pain. It doesn't matter what title you give it, it's all pain. So I said, okay, that's what you want me to do, okay. So I started working with that population. And that's when Robin came to help me. We opened up the doors to include the young women of sex trafficking. These young girls have been through so much trauma that it was very hard to reach them. I'm not going to talk a lot about the domestic violence because I think Eric kind of gave you a lot of insight on that. But the sex trauma, the sex trafficking side of it is, it's a hard discussion, it's uncomfortable. It's things that we don't want to talk about. It's happening not in our backyard, it's happening in our front yard. And you cannot close a blind eye to it. For you parents in here, you need to have that discussion with your children. They need to know. I'm just going to kind of touch on some things about what is sex trafficking? It's when a person takes a young lady who is not willing to just give her body away. He takes her, he makes her sell her body for money, and he traffics her from one state to another, and that's why it's called trafficking. A trafficker, can be anyone. There's no one particular description to identify them. It could be your neighbor, your relative, a teacher, a preacher, a police officer, or a politician. It could be male or female, old or young, rich or poor, heterosexual, homosexual, the nicest person you ever want to meet. I only trust that person. Or it could be the meanest person that you ever will know. They can be called daddy, mama, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, or just my man or my woman. They also can be non-traditional, like a family member who pimps out their child for food, money, or drugs. Traffickers can also be female, and often they will work as couples trying to recruit young girls, when the female might act as a mentor, a friend, or a big sister. It's really sad that the children of today have so much to deal with, and social media does not help, because You may think that your child is out there just doing a TikTok or Instagram or whatever they're using nowadays, and it's cute. But that's where the predators is looking for your child. So you need to monitor that, and you need to be aware of it, because they will pose. A 40-year-old man can pose as a 16-year-old boy and get your daughter or your son, and you'll never see him again. These are some methods that the trafficker uses to recruit their victims. The most common type of sex trafficker is a rodeo type pimp. So this is a pimp that's, oh baby, you know, I love you, and you're beautiful, and you could be a model, and they're buying them all these purses and name brand things, because that's what's attractive to our young girls. It's, you know, having all the brand name stuff. So they get to talk about, this is my boyfriend. So when he gets her into his clutches, then he says, well, you know what, look, we need some money. And I need for you to go out there and just do this thing just one time. And she's like, okay. So she goes out on a date. That's what they call it nowadays. She's not walking the streets and all that other stuff. They're on the internet, on different websites, and they set up these dates for the young women in hotels. And the men just come in and out, in and out. It could be up to, one young lady told me she had 40 men in one day. And I'm like, what? There was over 100 women that came through Mama's House program, and at least 75% of them were trafficked. So I learned so much. Not something that somebody taught me in school, or it was like my mouth was open every time I heard something, because it was like, this is not right. A gorilla pimp. He's a trafficker that's just mean out the gate. He'll snatch your daughter up, he'll put her in a cage, he'll molest her, he'll give her to his friends repeatedly. They take away their self-esteem, they threaten them. I know where your family is if they have a younger sibling. If you go to the police, we'll get that one too. So now they're scared. Their self-esteem is low. So they're going to do whatever you need to do. He will beat her. There was one case where we had one young lady, the gorilla pimp, beat her, put her in the trunk of the car, traveled from San Diego to Phoenix, Arizona. She had weave in her hair, pulled all her hair out, urinated on her every time he needed to go to the restroom. He opened the trunk and urinated on her. And when she tried to escape, people just looked at her. So when you see something, you have to say something. We're all in this stay in your lane. Well, you continue to stay in that lane. But when something happens to someone you love, I will see how quickly you get out of that lane. When it comes to your children, this is my bedroom, where they living in your house, so they don't have no bedroom. That's not theirs, that's yours. You go in, you turn it upside down, and you look for these things. You look for what your child is doing. As a parent, it's your duty to know what your child's doing. Some of these pimps are gang-related. That's how you get initiated into a gang. Some of them are runaway. Young girls is like, I don't want to live here, and I don't like their rules, and so they run away. But then they're out in the streets, and they have to sell their body in order to eat, to sleep. You know, at Mama's house, we provided this beautiful environment. And one young lady said, I said, well, honey, you can't sleep on the comforter. You have to pull that back and lay in the bed. She said, Miss Marion, I've never had a bed. I weep. I'm like, what do you mean you never had a bed? Miss Marion, I've never had a bed, so I don't know what to do. So I'm thinking, wow, I would do anything for my children to make sure that they were in a safe environment. What kind of parent doesn't care about their child and doesn't care about what they're doing? That's passive judgment. Because all we can do is give our children the tools they need, and it's on them to take those tools and grow. You lay the foundation of faith. You instill God or whatever you want to call them. Because there is a higher being, there's a higher person. And the way that I know that is because you don't believe in miracles, you're in the presence of one. That would be me. Our children of today are so influenced by so many things. And as a parent, I just would not want to be raising children today. It is a hard situation. But it still takes a village. But you gotta know your village. And you gotta understand that everybody's motives aren't as pure as they pretend. Right. Oh Lord, traffickers use different types of violence, including physical, psychological, and sexual. Drugs and alcohol are commonly used along with control, coercion, and manipulation. What are some of the indications and red flags? When I say, know what your children's doing, turn their room upside down and look, what are you looking for? You're looking to see if they missed a lot of school. They're running around and they're just out an unexplained periods of time away from home. The presence of or reference to older boyfriend. A sudden possession of expensive clothing, purses, and electronics that you did not purchase and she can't afford. Sudden changes in their dress and appearance. A lot of times when we're riding around, you'll see young women dressed inappropriately, and when I was growing up, it was like, oh my gosh, she's so fast, look at her. But it could be that she's under the thumb of some type of pimp. Not that she wants to dress that way, but that's the way he's dressing her to attract men, to attract a date. Unusual or new tattoo, unusual or a tattoo, unexplained cash, a second cell phone that you knew nothing about, hotel rooms in their purse, hotel room keys in their purse, fake ID in their purse, a reference to, I got a modeling job. He said, I was pretty, I'm a model. Or a music video job. A sudden change in behavior, such as new signs of depression, anger, or appearance of sudden academic decline. Their grades are dropping. What is wrong with her? Why is she doing her work? Why are you at school? What you doing in school all day? Believe it or not, some of the pimps will come to the schools. They have young girls in the school that recruit their friends. We had a case in Phoenix where 7th and 8th graders were recruiting their friends. They were strategically placed in the school to get their friends to prostitute. Surprising changes in friendship. Young girls that grew up with their friends, and you're like, well, what happened to Susie? I don't see her no more. Well, Susie don't want to be around, either because your child's doing what they doing, or Susie's out doing what Susie's doing. Uncharacteristic promiscuous behavior. Signs of physical abuse or restraint. A lot of traffickers do cuts. They cut themselves to, get away from the pain that they experience. And bruising. Check out their body. Because the only bruises that my daughter had was the ones I put on. Sexually transmitted infections or diseases. The use of terminology like the gang. I'm in the gang. We get like the gang. What you talking about? They call it the gang. They use terminology like I said, the game or the life. Well, I ain't about that life, or I'm about that life. Daddy, manager, or date. And some still use the terminology trip. Suicide attempts. They start using drugs. They start drinking alcohol and gang affiliation. And like I said, I see you, Robin. So the feeling side for me was going through the domestic violence and experiencing that. And then when I started thinking about Mama's house, how can I deal with something that I suppressed for over 20 years? Over 20 years. Because I had to take care of my children. I could not take care of my kids. Number one, because my mom would have killed me. And number two, she said, these are your babies. This is what you wanted to do. So in order to deal with it, like I said, to feel it, I started Mama's House because I felt like if I could share my story and I could be of help to somebody who's trying to get their lives together, then that's helping me to deal with it. Because I said I suppressed it for so many years, and like when Eric was speaking, I started feeling that anxiety all over again. I didn't know what domestic violence was. All I knew was brother man would go out, get drunk, have a couple of drinks, come home, and want to fight. And we was bang Chandelier, right? Because it's like, we're not going to do this. So I went to this training, and it was like domestic violence. I said, oh, is that what it's called? Then I started thinking, wow, he blacked my eye. Wow, he did this, and wow, he did that. But I still told my children, that's your partner. You have to have a relationship with him. You were conceived out of love. And what went on between us was between us. It was not because of you. I stayed because of my children. And ultimately, I left because of my children.